Could you explain how Bitcoin is separate from the Fed, the Treasury, and Wall Street? That's the reason I endorse it. I don't trust those guys. If you trust them, buy mutual funds, right?
So first thing to realize is Bitcoin is a digital currency, which is kind of strange because if me and you wanted to make a digital currency, what does that even mean, right? Do you control some ledger, some Excel sheet that has how much we both have? So Bitcoin came out around using this blockchain technology so that both of us actually control the same ledger. The same source of record is controlled by both of us. And later on, that ledger grew to thousands and thousands of other operators. And all Bitcoin is a history of the transactions from different keys. So as long as I have a 64-digit key, that stores money. And I could use that key to send you money, and you could use your key and send other people money. Nobody controls it. Nobody can just stop it, right? I can just ban Bitcoin. There's no way you can ban Bitcoin. So it's floating out there across borders. There's no borders for Bitcoin, but it's being traded for other assets. It's actually the biggest asset to trade into other cryptocurrencies. So when we say that it cannot be governed or there's no policy around Bitcoin, there's just simply no way to control it.
Well, so my point here is this, okay? As the governments right now all over the world are printing literally trillions of dollars, and they're trying to pay off debt that's denominated in dollars. That means the U.S. dollar gets stronger because they need dollars to pay off the debt. And when you heard that they were printing trillions of dollars, as a Bitcoin person, what goes through your mind? Is that good or bad for you?
If you are heavy in Bitcoin, it is good for you because Bitcoin has been inversely correlated with the dollar in terms of the dollar compared to the other basket of currencies. So if the dollar crashes or goes bad, Bitcoin is going to go up historically. That's just how it's happened. Bitcoin has also been tied to other assets, but only in various times. To get just a brief summary, Bitcoin was pretty much tied to the S&P 500 for a little bit. And then as the oil crashed in March, I believe, everything got liquidated. So Bitcoin is considered a risky asset because it is volatile. And then it was not shielded away from all the capital being taken out of the markets. So I just want to make sure that people realize it's not really correlated with any asset. I'd say it's like a hedge or actually insurance to any other assets that you're holding.
Yes, and that's exactly the term I use. You see my last tweet, I talk about, I don't consider Bitcoin, gold, or silver investments. I consider them insurance policies against the idiots running the Fed, the Treasury, and Wall Street. And they're a bunch of criminals as far as I'm concerned, because they're printing trillions of dollars at the same time causing billions of people to go unemployed. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? I mean, I can't, this is like heaven. But I know for people sitting at home, they're going, oh, I've lost my job. I can't pay my mortgage. And I understand, you can't pay the car payments and all this. But the name of this program is the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. So if you're sitting at home contemplating your navel saying, well, can I get my cocktailing job back? Or, what restaurant am I going to work for next? I think you missed the biggest opportunity in world history. That's my point of view. So as a crypto guy, what would you say to somebody who thinks this is a bad time? Why is it a good time for you guys?
Well, we actually analyze not every cryptocurrency, the major cryptocurrencies on a milestone basis. So in different month periods, we actually predict kind of what prices each coin is going to go. And over the long run, it gets harder and harder to analyze, obviously. Even with the coronavirus fears and we don't know when people are coming back, it's getting harder to project almost any asset. But if you do have a thesis that the dollar is going to decrease in value compared to other currencies, if you go by that thesis, Bitcoin will eventually, should go up in the long term. Cryptocurrencies as a whole, we can get into that. It's a whole ecosystem out there. Also, it starts benefiting from the decentralization of governments and their policies as well.
Okay, and so today is April 20th, 2020. What's the price of Bitcoin today?
It's about 6,800, I believe.
6,800. Do you consider it high or low?
I consider it at the right price. I'll tell you what our newsletter said. We predicted Bitcoin to be $10,000 by May because of it's a thing called the halvening that's happening in May. Yeah, the halving. It's a joke because halvening is not really the word. But the inflation for Bitcoin is going to get cut in half. So based off our newsletter, we have milestone based price points. We thought $10,000 by May. So it actually hit $10,000 in February. So we were like, okay, well, here we are. We've reached our point. What happens next? After oil crashed in March, it crashed again today to negatives. But when it crashed in March, all the capital came out of Bitcoin. That was a great opportunity again to put your money in. I predict though that after the halvening, there will be less mining incentive. So if inflation is cut, there's less infrastructure to support the system because it's just not going to, be break even.
Okay,
so I do
Jeff,
think, I just want to say Bitcoin is going to go down. I think in May is my prediction.
It's going to go down. Well, that's good news.
Yeah. So in May there will be a correction that is a good place to get in. Is my, just my opinion.
So we have our producer here, Sarah, and she doesn't trust you guys. So Sarah.
So 2 years ago, I know Bitcoin was around 20,000. I want to say like it was around that peak. And I was telling Robert that I don't understand. It's as volatile to me as the stock market. So you really have to play the same kind of game as the stock market. And so I'm not understanding where's this benefit? If I were an investor looking to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I don't think Bitcoin itself as a currency. It's not something that I would go out and spend it. There's just too many problems with the volatility. There's actually very slow transaction speeds. For me, what I look at is the technology itself, how that can be applied to other use cases in the world. And that is where I look. So I don't actually have that much Bitcoin. I actually look at Ethereum. I look at the decentralized finance projects of where Ethereum's going. And there's a lot of startups that are trying to scale blockchain technology as well that I look into also. So as an investor in Bitcoin, I would just put that as a diversification piece. I wouldn't say that's like something to go all in, that I'm going to use it to spend as a global currency. That's not the case.
So you wouldn't invest in it because it's going to go to 100,000.
I do not think it's going to go to 100,000.
I understand that, but you wouldn't use that logic. Because that's what people do.
Logic.
But see, people do that with silver and gold.
Mm-hmm.
People are, like they're calling for $50,000 gold and $20,000 silver. And that sucks a lot of people in. So what would you say to that? So somebody says Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Why would you say that's a bad idea, or you wouldn't touch it?
I can give a few data points as to what happens with the other countries that have currency crashes. They actually fled to Bitcoin as a safe haven because it's one way to get out, right? You can buy Bitcoin, it holds its currency against the USD, and then if their currency goes hyperinflation, they still have some digital asset that can be traded. Although again, it's just on a USB drive or it's on a piece of paper, but at least they can flood to that as a safe haven. With gold and silver, it's actually kind of hard to trade it for some people globally. With Bitcoin, it's 24/7, you can trade it whenever you want. So that's where I say is kind of the difference between gold and silver. In terms of what is backing Bitcoin, mainly it's kind of the trading volume and then the entrance, it's a fiat gateway into other cryptocurrencies.